Hi, I'm Sharon Lindell. I live in Windsor, Colorado, and you're watching Etsy Shop Audits. It was almost like an algorithm change. It was like, boom, I had almost zero sales in April. And I was like, whoa, what happened?
All right, Sharon, welcome to Etsy Shop Audits. I'm super excited to have you here. I took a peek at your shop and I'm really excited to dig in. But before we do, I wanted to kind of go through all of the criteria here. I have in here Living Designs, but I think you just said I was not 100% accurate. What is the name of the shop?
It's L Living Designs.
Got it. Okay. And we'll make a little correction there, but I just wanted to make sure we are clear on that. So the shop age is 7 years old. The niche you have is homeowners - furniture buyers. Sticking point traffic dropped 83% since April. And then total revenue to date, $300,000. Income goal is $100,000 a year. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay, awesome. So I do have some questions and that before we even get started, but before I do, I would like to hear, like right now you put in there traffic drop 83%. Like, what is your biggest sticking point? I get that probably is the sticking point, but do you have any other concerns or any other thing that you want to really take away from this Etsy shop audit?
Yeah, I think my biggest concern was I felt it in April. Like I was selling just fine. My stats were shooting way up. And then all of a sudden in April, it was almost like an algorithm change. It was like, boom, I had almost zero sales in April. And I was like, whoa, what happened? So, I mean, my designs didn't change. My furniture prices didn't change. My shipping prices didn't change. So I was just, whoa.
So yeah, and it's been, I think it's been across the board out there. A lot of people have been complaining about just traffic has been down or whatever, right? Now, you've been doing this now for 7 years. Have you noticed like every year it's pretty much the same, consistent, or have you noticed that the summer is generally slower?
Well, I think it's my furniture sales are definite correlation with real estate market. So I get some of that. That's going to happen. Like I understand the slowdown there, but I mean, it was such a drastic change from Etsy. I mean, to go from being up on stats to down 83% was just like, oh my God, what happened? So,
okay. All right. So we're going to dig into that. We'll pull up the shop. We'll take a look at it. And I'm really kind of, I guess, interested to hear your business model because yours is definitely unique. So, Chris, if you can just pull up her shop too, so we can actually be looking at that as she's explaining, but maybe if you can kind of take us through a little bit of like, you're selling to homeowners, furniture buyers, and these are large ticket items. I'm just curious, how did you get started in this? I think that would be the first place I'd like to start.
So, I've always kind of been interested in furniture and furniture design ever since I was little. I grew up in New York State, near Stickley and Hardin Furniture, McConnellsville, all of those big name furniture, second only to North Carolina, the High Point area. So it was kind of ubiquitous where I grew up, and I just was attracted to it from a young age. I refinished my first piece of furniture in college and I was addicted, but I went to college back in the 90s. That was way before Facebook and Instagram and everything, before the furniture train kind of blew up. And then it was about 2015, 2016. I was like, I bet I could start selling my pieces now. Let me dig into that a little bit. So I painted my first piece, got a free piece off Craigslist. It was a coffee table, and I put it on Craigslist and Facebook, sold it for $325. My very first piece off the bat.
Nice.
So I was hooked. But then I discovered lacquer furniture. And there was a friend of mine that painted high gloss furniture. And I was like, oh my God, this stuff is amazing. It's beautiful. It was automotive finishes. You could see your reflection. And I love that high-end design. And so I began picking up vintage pieces of really good quality furniture and refinishing them on a really, really high level.
Okay.
And went from there.
Okay. And so when did you start? You started on Etsy 7 years ago. How was that when you first started? Like you put it up and then like, did you see instant like sale or like what? I'm just curious.
It didn't take very long. I was really shocked. I mean, I put my first high gloss piece on Etsy and it sold within a month.
Okay.
Now my prices weren't as high then.
Hmm.
My craft wasn't as refined then.
Okay.
So, I mean, as my craft and my finishes got better and better, my prices went up and up. And vintage pieces, the ones that I finished, they're getting more and more rare. So
Mm.
it's, you know, supply and demand kind of thing. I'm one of the only
Okay.
few people out there. There's maybe a dozen of us that finish on this level on Etsy. So, I mean, there's a lot of furniture refinishers out there, but not on this level.
Okay. And so how much of your business is from Etsy versus do you sell like locally? Do you sell like on your own
Yeah.
website? Like where else are you selling?
So I do have my own website, and I do sell on Instagram and Facebook. But 85% of my sales come from Etsy right now. Yeah.
Okay. 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 Okay, good. All right. And so you're putting up pieces that are really one of a kind though, right? You're not like
Yeah.
eating them. So that's a little challenging for scale.
Right.
How long does it take? I'm just curious, how long does it take you to finish a piece?
A month.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
working
I'm
on a
working
piece
on
for a month.
4 or 5, maybe 6 pieces at a time, you know, prime one, prep one, set it down, finish one, you know. So it's like a constant rotation, but to do
Okay.
one from start to finish the right way, it's a month.
Okay. Okay. And that makes sense. I mean, they're beautiful and,
Thank you.
but people are paying for it too, right? But you got to be,
Mhm.
compensated. You're picking up the piece,
Yeah.
whatever you pay for the piece, and then you have to refinish it. And that's a lot of labor. I mean, it's a lot of labor, a lot of physical
Yeah,
labor.
my setup just to spray one piece is about $15,000.
Yeah.
So, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, the equipment's not cheap. I've got electricity. I've got all kinds of hidden costs that go behind that.
Yeah.
So, and I'm a solopreneur. You know, I
Yep.
do everything all by myself to keep the quality high and to keep
Mhm.
my, you know, I want to keep it fun too, because
Sure.
once I blow up and become this big business, it doesn't become creative anymore. It becomes
Mm.
Pottery Barn.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right, cool. Chris, let's pull up the shop real quick. Um, again, I think you already did, but we have to switch it over.
Yeah, it
So
should
yeah,
be in
there we
here.
go. Okay. Yeah. So can you
The
just go
the
ahead and
other question before we dive into
Yeah.
this, Sharon, you said the traffic was down. Was it like 83 or 87%?
Yeah.
Did the sales drop by the same amount?
Yeah.
Or
Like, yeah, drastically. And I was like, what is going? It was weird because we went on vacation in April and I was like, I kind of put my shop on, you know, vacation mode for a couple of weeks. And then I was out of the country in Europe and I was like, this is really weird. Usually I'm getting inundated with messages and likes and you know, I check it periodically and I could feel it. It was just something changed.
so now you said you put it in vacation mode. Did you see this after you put it in vacation mode, this drop?
See, I went on vacation the 1st of April. I was back on the 15th of April. I mean, even in vacation mode, I usually still get notification messages and I wasn't getting anything.
I'm just wondering, okay, because here, I mean, I'm trying to look and say what changed.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at like it went in vacation mode. And yes, maybe last year it didn't, but maybe now because when something goes in vacation mode, it affects the algorithm. And from there, now we took a hit. I'm trying to correlate like what
Yeah.
has changed. If you never went in vacation mode, would we be talking right now?
I mean, I went on vacation for 2 weeks. This was April. My sales are that the stats are still way down. Like they
Mhm.
have never gone back up since April. They're up. I mean, I'm down 43% this month, year over last. So I did a year comparison, year over last, and from April to today, I'm way down.
I guess what I'm wondering is, and I understand you're comparing last year to this year,
Yeah.
but we have no idea if the algorithm changed when putting something on vacation mode from last year to this year. We don't know.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Yeah.
that's the only thing that happened that I can say we can actually say if that never happened, would we have not seen this? Even though you used to get messages, maybe now you don't because Etsy said this place is in vacation mode. We don't want to get them sending messages because we have other places that are available that are selling furniture. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm just
Yeah.
trying to kind of like work through and problem solve like how this could be happening.
Right.
The other thing, and I'd be curious, Sharon, if you're willing to share some of
Sure.
the back end statistics with the
Sure.
class, for lack of a better word, that may be something interesting to look at. Because Scott, the one thing that did happen in April that's not Etsy related is Google rolled out a large core update. And so if a lot of that traffic was coming from outside of Etsy and we were in vacation mode, that could have had a large impact on what was happening, because you do have unique one of a kind pieces, right? And so if you were indexed as like Etsy's showcase by Google of furniture, right, or of classy furniture, of lacquer furniture, right, then being in vacation mode has an outsized impact on those things outside of Etsy. And with everything that's happened there, if we were getting a large portion of that traffic from external sources like Google and Bing, that's another thing that could have had an impact. And just because of the style of store that you are, it's something that I would want to look at specifically, right? If we're talking about people who are selling stuff for dogs, the vast majority of traffic is going to come from within the Etsy platform. Here, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We'd have to look at the numbers, but the number of people on Google looking for this would be substantially higher. So if we had a good rank on Google before that update, which happened, they rolled it out and it finished, I think, on April 19th or 20th. And so that's right around that time. That's the only reason that occurred to me. It may be something we want to take a look at.
Okay.
Yeah. So are you running Etsy ads?
Yes. And that's the other thing I was going to ask about. So I set a budget just for fun of $100 a day, just to see if they would use the total.
Sure. Hey, real quick, I wanted to give you a little behind the scenes on how these Etsy shop audits even happen. Every single month, Chris Schaefer and I, we meet and we batch record 3 to 4 of these episodes. Then they get edited and they get posted like the one you're watching right now. But what we decided to do is create what we call our Backstage Pass Club. This is where all of our club members, they get to join us on that recording as we're doing it live. The other cool thing is you're able to ask questions, and you also can get access to the recordings before they ever air, immediately, raw and unedited. You even get all the questions that were asked that you might have missed because, well, maybe you couldn't attend that one live. So if you'd like to be part of our Backstage Pass Club and join our next batch recording session, head on over to brandcreators.com/club or click the link in the description. Now let's get back to the audit. Yeah.
They're not even using a quarter of that. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, they're just not, it's just not being used.
Okay.
I think what they spent yesterday was $17.
Okay. Out of the 100. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple different things that could be. And like Chris was saying, that's why we probably should dig into your Etsy ads, because even though you're running Etsy ads are also external ads. So if those external ads have been affected, the amount of traffic that's on Etsy is not there. So they're going outside and advertising on all of these external sources. If that traffic has been affected because of the update or the algorithm update or whatever, that could be like, that could have been 60% of your traffic that you were getting from ads before. How much were you spending before on ads?
I didn't have to spend very much. I think my daily budget was like $10.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that one thing I wanted to clarify there, Scott, is her budget wouldn't impact the offsite app, right? Etsy would be spending that.
Right.
So the mix that I would want to see there is what led to sales previously. Was it offsite ads? Was it offsite traffic, right? Was it the Etsy ads that we were doing before? And if we can nail down what traffic led to sales, then maybe we can start to figure out what the drop is. There has also been a change, and you said something a couple minutes ago where you said, you know, my niche is a little bit dependent on new homeowners, right? And so with the changes that have happened there over the last few months, yeah, but the timing of this doesn't necessarily reflect that. So let's see if we can drill in a little bit and see if there's something else going on.
And, you know, I've always been worried about my SEO. I always try to focus on my SEO, but my SEO is up. So.
Okay. Yeah. I think if everything had stayed the same with like the SEO, and I think you're probably fine there. I think it has to do with something along the lines of with that that update that could have happened in Google, or something that had changed with the external traffic that you were getting, and now you're getting less. So maybe if we can do that. Before we do though, Chris, go back to the shop real quick. So my question is for this, like, and I know like we're talking about a traffic issue, but I'm also looking at just looking at this like right now, is there any reason why you don't have a banner up there? Is there a reason why we're not dressing this up to look better?
Maybe that's a good point. Maybe that's something I do need to address.
I mean, personally, like if I'm buying high-end furniture and I came here, I'd feel like it was like just kind of generic. It's very generic to me. I would be like, oh, this is some lady selling it out of her garage, right? Like I want to feel like high end. I'm paying a lot of money. Like I'd want to come in here and see those high class pieces up in the banner.
Okay.
Right? I want to see that represent. So I've said this before. It's almost like you have a storefront, but you have a sign that's just kind of and then but you got high end furniture. Why don't you have a high end sign?
Duly noted.
Yeah. So that I would definitely think I would do that, because this here is very like plain. It's there's no banner and it's just kind of just generic. I do like it that you have a picture of yourself in there, because that's always important. I like that. And you do have the one piece there in your logo spot. The other question is, do you get repeat customers? Like when
yes.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
Well, again, how many dressers can you put in a house? So
True.
I mean, I've gotten a couple of repeat customers. They're usually like, they'll buy a piece this year and then they'll come back next year. It's not like month over month.
Okay. And so I guess my question is then, is there anything else you can create that person could buy that could be added to this order, or that could come back to buy something, whether you refinish something or whether you just have something that you can now source that then would become another part? Because you're relying on selling and working on all of these projects, right? Like every one of these you have to touch. Right. To get to $100,000 a year, how many of these do we have to sell? How many do you have to produce? But if we can add more to the order that you don't have to actually do, because someone's buying a dresser for a bedroom and now you have a mirror that goes with it, or whatever, can we start thinking strategically? And again, I'm just throwing out ideas as if I was running this business. If my wife was running this business, these would be my ideas. I'm like, we have to scale this a little bit so you're not doing as much, so we can make more without you doing as much.
And that's a really good point. I've actually thought about that pivot point recently. I think home decor is probably the next thing I need to think about.
Yeah, 100%. And this space like really well. So you're like, if someone was to buy this dresser, you're like, oh, well, this picture set or this, armchair, pillow or whatever would go like, kind of probably there's like certain designs that, and I have no idea. Like the only thing I can think of is like mid-century modern, right? Or something like that. But there's other ones that are like people are looking for that are these high end. And if someone's buying high end, they're willing to spend high end on other things.
Right.
Right.
Agreed.
So I would definitely try to figure out something there.
Okay. Thank you.
The other thing that occurs to me, Sharon, do you know who your customers are? Are they individual homeowners or are they interior designers?
60-40, 60% interior designer, 40% homeowners.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yep. Yeah.
And
They're high
The
end.
reason that I ask is the price point, right?
Right.
This to me screams something that an interior designer would buy. I would also be willing to bet, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, the repeat customers are more likely to be the interior designers.
You're 100% correct.
They know what that is. And so if we can figure out a way to start to get to them directly, then we can say, hey, we have this cool new piece. Do you have a client that would be interested in it? And we can potentially take it off the market, right? Like a high-end auction goes to, people who always bid on Picassos before they put it up for auction, right? We can go to that list of interior designers and say, hey, we have this really cool thing. I don't know if you're interested. The things you've purchased from us in the past were along the same lines. If you're interested, let me know. And then we can go down that route as well.
And so, Chris, what I think you're saying is, and that would be the next question, is like, do you have your customers' email addresses so you can reach out to them to say, hey, got a new piece?
Yeah, I've definitely just started to capture that data. That is something I am consciously working on right now. I just got my website up and running a couple of months ago.
Okay.
I need to be a little more diversified in my platform.
Yeah, but I just think like Chris was saying, like if you have 60% of your customers, let's say you have 100 customers, you got 60 of them that are interior designers. They're working in people's homes all the time. And then if you were to send an email out and go, hey, just wanted to let you know, got a brand new piece before I put it on the marketplace. I wanted to offer it to you. You could sell that thing before you even have to list the thing.
Sure. Yeah. Good point.
And that's like, it's almost like a wholesaler in real estate that goes out and finds the deals, gets the deals, but before they actually release it out to the public and put it on the MLS, they give it to the wholesalers, and then they usually sell the house before it even hits the market. So that would be a huge play for you, because these interior designers, they're going to be buying all the time for whatever house they're, decorating.
Sure.
So, but yeah, okay. So, I mean, but your pieces are great. I think we've already kind of established like they're awesome. Your listings look good. Yeah. I mean, great images. It shows everything in detail. Like this represents the quality. That's why that banner, I think, really needs to be put in there. So
I didn't even think about that. So
yeah,
that's really good input.
So you can show off this stuff. Cause I mean, it is really, really nice. And you can tell it's high end. So let's represent that in the storefront.
Okay. Thank
Sharon,
you.
You're doing something here that I think benefits everybody to learn from just a little bit.
Okay.
You're showing off all of the details, right? And you know more than anybody because you essentially have one shot at selling this, right? This is not a browse and buy type of a thing that you need to show off all the things that somebody would be interested in. Most people would not think to take a detailed photo of what the inside of the drawers look like or the sides of the drawers look like. And you're doing a great job with that. And I think that's something when people are looking at their images and thinking about their images, we can show off every angle. We're going to increase conversion. So I love what you're doing here with the listing. The question is, how do we get more people to see it? And can we get it off the market before anybody even sees it in terms of an Etsy listing?
That would be great.
Yeah. So can we look inside of your ads manager?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. So can you go ahead and share your screen, and then we can go ahead and we can start playing in there, because I think we will probably be able to see possibly traffic wise where we're going to be able to.
Let me log in. I'm so sorry. I was not.
Yeah, no, that's no problem. But yeah, I think looking at everything so far and hearing what you're saying, it probably has something to do with that outside traffic. I'm just guessing. The vacation mode thing could have something to do with it, but I'm going to lean more towards the other. For sure.
Yeah, it was just so weird because I mean, I was selling. And I only need to sell 1 or 2 pieces a month, to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I think you said the goal was to hit 100,000 a year. So if we're able to, like you said, if you sell 1 a month, right? What do we need to get there? We need what, like $8 grand we need to make roughly. Little over 8 grand a month.
8,300.
Yeah. So,
and I was usually pretty successful. I mean, I had $20,000 months some months. Like this time last year, I was at $22,000 in sales for August. So,
yeah. And so
I am in.
Okay. Then just go ahead and hit the present. You should be able to hit present and then share that window or that screen.
Okay.
And then it should pop in and we can then share it.
All right. Let's see. Etsy shop. There we go.
And we have people in the comments saying that your stuff is beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. Oh yeah. I appreciate that very much.
Love the high gloss. Yeah. All that.
Okay. So stats, do you want me to go to stats, or where do you want me to go here?
Chris, you want, I think maybe let's just dive right into the ads, like maybe go to the marketing and then Etsy ads.
Actually, before we do that, Scott, let's go to, in the marketing tab, Karen.
Okay. Oops. Sorry. There we go. Okay.
They already get rid of the analytics report. Darn. All right. I guess that happened a couple days ago. So yeah, let's take a dive into ads and take a look really quick.
Okay. Etsy ads.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, cool. All right. So that's last 30. And then down below, if you scroll down below, we should be able to
Yeah. See, I put my, just for fun, $100 a day. I'm not going to keep it. Like if they actually spent that, I would be like, whoa, no. But
okay. And Chris, let's, it should be located in the same spot, right? I want to see where the offsite ads, where the breakdown is on that.
You wouldn't see that in the ads report. Typically, you'd see that in the listing stats. But if we go in, let's dive into one really quick. Just this pink one, since that's the one we've been looking at.
Sure.
And if you hit detailed stats underneath that photo.
There you go.
And then if you click on the little report down there at the bottom that says searches that led to this ad.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. So I think there are a few things here that stand out to me just looking at this. You're ranking for all of the right stuff. From an ads perspective, we need to be very selective about what traffic we are driving, right? And thinking about the competition. In your case, you're a much higher end product than a lot of the things that are being sold on Etsy. And so if we think about something like dresser, right? Yeah, technically that works, right? But what is Etsy showing? Is it a $200 dresser? Because if everything else that's showing up there is a $200 dresser and we have a $2,000 dresser, then those clicks are probably wasted on us at that level. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so, okay, so this one's a little over $1,000, right? So if we look at this, we don't see anything like what we're selling for that keyword, we probably want to turn it off. And what we're going to be looking at over time is which actually led to sales. And what we're probably going to find is that we're falling into the longer tail search terms. So there's long tail and fat head terms, right? Fat head would be dresser. The first thing that people type in, but it's also the most generic. The longer tail would be ultra high gloss, hot pink dresser, right? Or storage cabinet or something like that. And so my suspicion is, because we're 60-40 on designers, and I would suspect even 40% the regular customers probably know more about design than the regular person, they're going to be typing in something a lot more specific. So as we're going through ads, that's the first step we want to take, just to reduce our overall cost and really hone in on those keywords. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah. And that's a lot of times is like the broad, like dresser, you're thinking like, yeah, that's who I wanted to see it, but it really could be, it's so much wider that it's actually probably not as targeted as you'd want it. So I would definitely go in and try to prune some of that stuff. Now, again, you're not spending a lot of money right now. You're like, oh, but I want to spend more. True. But we want to spend more on the right keywords. So if we're able to reduce the amount we're spending, even it's like we're saying, we're going to spend $100. We want to spend $100, but we know that if we can get even only spending $20, but out of that 20, it's so dialed in that's like worth so much more, right? Then it's like spending $100 on the right ones, but you're spending less. And that's really what we want to do there. So Chris, if we go into the detailed stats, not the detailed stats, just the regular stats, we should be able to see offsite ads. So if you go into your, just go into your stats and then scroll down, and then you should see is it right up above there, or is it down below that? Yeah. Traffic from offsite, go to get your stats. Yep. Right there. And then here we are. Now this is from August. We can go back further. This is from the last 30. So let's see here. Shoppers clicked on your offsite ads 80 times and placed 0 orders. Let's do this year. And let's just see what we got here so far. So we got no orders. So 637 times and placed 0 orders.
Yeah. My conversion rates are obviously down too.
So Chris, what do you think when you see this?
So 637 and 0 orders. Again, that's this year. I think I saw in the other one, you had 1 from on-site ad, right?
Right.
Now, the good news is with off-site ads, we don't pay unless somebody converts into something. So I would be curious, Sharon, if you click that drop down for this year, what are the other reporting periods that it's going to give you? So let's go to last 12 months.
773.
Yeah, so it wasn't offsite ads, you know, September through March, basically, that were driving a majority of this. It was either internal traffic.
But what about last year? Let's do the entire last year.
Okay.
Yep. You were right there. Yep. Right there.
Right up from that.
Yep. Yeah. So 387 and 0 orders. So we can't say that the offsite ads is the problem. So we just kind of eliminated that.
Yeah. So let's take a look at some of the individual listings and see where that traffic is coming from. Do you have anything that's been around for a while?
Yeah, let's see. Like this one, the authentic, this one. I know it's a high price point. So I know that's part of the problem.
You want her clicking?
So can we go into the traffic stats for that listing?
Yeah.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. So I just go back to stats, right?
Yep. If you go back into your shop manager, we can go into that listing, or you should be able to get there through the stats as well if you scroll down.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. So
hang on one second, actually. Scroll back up before we dive into that listing.
Okay.
Just right above here, the next section up. So we see traffic from offsite ads, right? This is saying Etsy brought 55% of visits. You brought 45. Direct and other traffic, right? We're seeing that is down 78%. Social media, that's down 65%, right? If we scroll up, does it tell us here what the time period is for that? If we scroll up just a little bit. No, it doesn't. God, do you remember off the top of your head what that time period is? I think it's last 30.
Yeah, for right here, I believe it's last 30. Yeah.
Now, I know some of my social media has been driven down because I'm trying to focus on my Etsy and my Facebook page more to my website. So that I understand that stat.
Okay. Yeah, so if we can drill into that, maybe that listing then, Chris.
Yeah.
Actually, I have another one that's been around a little longer, and I'm super shocked because pink usually always sells for me. Let me go. This one.
Okay. And what's that? That's for this month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 66 visits. Okay.
All right. So is this the one that's been around for a while?
Yeah, it's been around since December.
Okay, so let's you see that drop down at the top?
This one?
Yeah. So the date one right next to that.
Okay.
Click all time for me. All right. And so hover over where that big dip is. You see where it says visits 1,511?
Yeah.
Give you the drill in there. I mean, that would appear to be like June, July, right?
Yeah.
This big spike here would be March and April, and then we kind of had a steady decline, which is something we would expect to see through the end of spring into summer. So I don't see any big drop-offs here in terms of just overall visit. Okay, that's the actual breakdown that I'm looking for here. Yeah, so we see in April, right, it started to dip, and then it did come back up in July, and we're starting to see that recover. And if we keep scrolling down, we should see the traffic sources report.
Yeah, right there.
So I guess my question is was there an algorithm change possibly, and will I recover from that eventually?
I mean, there could have been, you know, that's really hard to say 100%. And it's not like you have like a ton of people competing at this for this space, right? Yeah. There's not like a ton, although there could be a ton for dressers and furniture and things like that, just not this caliper.
Right.
So it's hard to say if so whenever something like this happens, it's a matter of like, okay, are you getting visits, but are you not converting? So in this case, this one here all time has had 1,511. And then it kind of like the pieces that converted last year, they aren't the same pieces that you have this year, correct?
No, my pieces are never the same usually.
So that's the other like variable. It's kind of hard to say, well, last year's sales were down or up and then versus this year, but you're selling different stuff.
Right.
So that's a hard one to pinpoint, because maybe this year you have more black items than you do pink. I'm not saying you do, but I'm just saying that could be the case. Or maybe you have a certain style that's not as popular this year as it was last year. Like, there's so many variables there. I don't personally think like you were hit with like an algorithm, like major change. I think it probably has to do with, like Chris said, maybe because not as many people are buying houses, that maybe interior decorators aren't as busy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of that goes into it. So the only way to really, I guess, is for you to be able to control more of your own traffic. Gotcha. And the way that you do that is by building that email list of past customers, or if you're putting out any type of content, which I'm not sure if you are, that's trying to attract interior decorators that are decorating high-end homes, you know, like that would be the other part of this strategy. And I know you're doing everything yourself, so to add another layer of something, but the thing is when you're in business, and you know that very well now because you've been doing it a while, marketing is part of that business.
Oh, 100%.
Right. And it's like, you could, like your pieces, you can have it in your workplace and they're beautiful, but if no one knows they exist, it's like no one's going to be able to buy them. So that's why my brain goes to, how do I track the person that would want to buy this? And to me, it would be more of the interior decorator, because I have a longer run with that person than I would a one-off sale for someone who just bought a home.
Sure. Yep. So makes total sense. Thank you. I think
that's where I would try to start brainstorming, like, how can I attract those, those people, or the other thing is, could you align yourself with someone who's already got an audience? Right. And then you come on and you give tips about interior decorating for certain styles of furniture that go well with a certain decor. So now you reach out to a YouTuber and you start talking to a YouTuber and say, hey, I'd love to come on and talk about tips on interior decorating. Then people are going to see your stuff. They're going to see your stuff, or maybe even get a list of YouTubers out there that are interior decorators.
Really good input.
And start reaching out to those people, because you just need to get in front of the interior decorators, let them do the work for you.
Yeah. Agreed.
Thank
you.
So that might be a good strategy. Chris, you want to add anything to that?
So a couple things. I think we're not typically huge fans of like Pinterest, Instagram, right? Like Pinterest more than the other ones. This is kind of the ideal product for that. I think you are in a unique position where you can show the whole process too. So something like Instagram and TikTok would potentially do really well for you, especially if we're targeting hard on those interior designers, right? And if you build a few relationships with them, then you're going to start to see that really spiral out. So I think social media, there's a good social media play.
Yeah. I'm sorry. The other platform I do sell really well on is Instagram. Agreed.
Instagram.
Because it's a very visual thing, and you go, that's the dresser that I want. And so if we can get that in front of people before they even know that that's the dresser that they want, that's what we're really looking for. And that's really the secret behind what I was talking about with the interior designers, because they're going to say, yes, this is exactly what my client needs. Or, hey, before you do this, if you find another piece like this, can you paint it in blue, right? Instead of in pink? I have somebody that would love that. And so I think that's a big potential for you. The other thing that I noticed here, Scott, and this was a little bit of a concern in terms of the timing of the dip, and it's something we can take a look at if we go back to the overall stats report. We'll do that here in a second. But if you scroll up here just a little bit, Sharon, we're seeing Etsy search, social media, Etsy SEO, right? Now, if right back down, just that same report that we were looking at, I just wanted to get the whole thing in here so we could take a look at it. One more section down, I believe, where it says traffic sources, right? So we're saying 59% came from Etsy app or the other Etsy pages, 26.7 came from Etsy ads. Okay, but what came from search, right? Only 4.2% of our traffic came from search, and actually more traffic seems to have come from Google than came from Etsy search itself. And that was a little bit of the concern that I see. And if we scroll down to the search terms section here, what we'll see is, yes, dresser, which is the most generic way of talking about this. Obviously, that's that fat head search term that we were talking about. That's going to get us the most traffic. But if we look at the disparity there, we see 8 from Google, 3 from Etsy. If we look at vintage dresser, right? We're getting more from Google. Designer dresser, we got none from Etsy, right? So if we're looking through these and the ones that best describe it are coming from Google, that's a potential way that we can drill down where that problem came from. I don't think necessarily identifying where the problem came from is the same as the solution. So it depends on how deep you want to dive into it. But that would be something that you would want to keep an eye on if you ever see this again in the future, is what changed in terms of the traffic picture. And I bet if we looked through a couple of the different time periods that we would see that ratio change a little bit more in favor of Etsy, just given the timing of all of this. But that's something that stuck out to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, now that we're kind of digging into this and we kind of see like who your target audience is, I mean, I personally think like I wouldn't focus as much time trying to figure out how to get more search in the Etsy platform. I think you're still dealing with a very small pool. I would rather go outside of that platform, and I would try to either get in front of that audience by, like I said, reaching out to people that are on YouTube, people that are on Instagram, and then getting featured right in there by you adding value, because you're going to add value because you've been doing this a long time and you understand high-end furniture. You know what to look for. I mean, it could even be, you know, for an interior decorator that has a YouTube channel or an Instagram channel, and they just highlight really beautiful pieces that they found or something like that. So that's what I would personally be doing, because you're going to get way more return on your time and effort versus trying to figure out why your numbers all of a sudden dropped, which I think it could be because of the items are different than they were last year and the year before and the year before. So you never can really gauge, oh, my traffic is down. We don't have the same piece with the same exact keywords. So that makes it hard. But I think moving forward, I would do that. I think, and then again, if you can build up an audience, like
thank you. That's all very helpful.
Yeah, I mean, and Sharon, even just to build a list, it doesn't have to be a big list of. I mean, think about it. If you had 200 interior decorators on an email list, you're out of those 200, you're going to probably get a handful that are looking for a piece, and then boom, there you go. And you didn't have to do anything other than just send out an email when you had a new piece ready, or one that you're working on. You know, so I think that would go a long way for you to do that. So that would be my recommendation, and kind of my homework is really, I would start getting a list of people that you would like to get in front of their audience. Like, how can you borrow their audience? That's the question I'd be asking.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else, Chris, you want to add?
No, I think the going after the interior designers in terms of a direct customer engagement,
that's very helpful. Thank you.
Even just go back through your sales. And I know you don't have hundreds of sales on Etsy, but even just going back through and looking and seeing if you can take that name and match it to like Bobby Joe's interior design or whatever, and reaching out and saying, hey, I know you bought some stuff from me in the past. Is there anything specific that you're looking for, right? Even if you get them on the phone. Most people, I wouldn't say like go call your customers or like go get in touch with people, right? In your case, that 20-minute phone call to somebody who has the potential to buy your stuff over and over and over again is worth $10 or $20 or $50,000 over the next 2 or 3 years. So it might be worth your time, even if you start locally and just go to Google Maps and type in like vintage interior design or whatever the best categorization of that would be for you, and just grab all the phone numbers out of Google Maps and just say, hey, you know, I have this shop, I've been doing these things. Is there anything specific that you're looking for? Or have you seen any trends that your clients are looking at? I'm trying to work more with some interior designers because I've found that when we can find a vintage piece and paint it to the customer's needs, that's exactly what everybody's looking for. Most people are willing to have that conversation, even if they're not going to buy something from you. So doing 10, 15, 20 of those, and even just getting in contact with those people is going to be a great way to get that started for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, hey, there you go.
Very, very much. Thank you for having me.
There's some action steps for you. So we want you to report back though. Let us know how it's going. And yeah, like I said, I think that's your best bet moving forward, but just keep us posted. So that's a wrap for this Etsy shop audit. But if you want to watch more, well, you can find some more right here. And if you do, well, I'll see you there.